Welcome, everybody. My name is Isha. I am the host today. I am an LMS specialist and learning an instructor, essential skills instructor here at MNLCT. So, starting with the land acknowledgement. So, we acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Right? Next. So let's start with a small poll on women empowerment, because that is a topic we are going to cover today. Women empowerment can be defined as promoting women's sense of self-worth, their ability to determine their own choices, and their right to influence social change for themselves and others. So the poll question is basically, do you think that the 21st century, do you think that women are empowered? So we have one person who is saying no, we are not empowered, and we have 4 people saying they are getting there, and that's absolutely correct, because we have a lot of work to do to reach our empowerment level. So now I would like to introduce our panelists who are going to talk about this topic with all of us. So our first panelist here is Natalia Rodriguez. Natalia is a client-centered, dynamic, and enthusiastic mental health and settlement worker with more than 7 years of experience providing culturally appropriate counseling and settlement support to newcomers and vulnerable population. Welcome, Natalia. We are thrilled to have you in our show. Our next panelist is Mila Filakovic. Mila is an LMS specialist and essential skills instructor here at MNLCT. Welcome, Mila. We're delighted to have you here. Our next panelist is Victoria. Victoria Manzar is an HR business partner and marketing coordinator at MNLCT. In her role, she is building relationships with employers so they can hire from a talent pool, and she also supports various marketing activities in the She-Covery Program. Welcome, Victoria. We're so happy to have you. And our last panelist for today is Lizette. Lizette is an intake worker here at the MNLCT. She has also worked as a mental health counselor assistant. She has been working with MNLCT since 2018, performing different roles within the organization. Welcome, Lizette. We are pleased to have you here. Now I would like to introduce our interpreters. So we have, for Farsi, we have Bita Hediati. Bita, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the meeting. I'm going to introduce myself in Farsi. سلام و درود به همگی. خیلی خوش آمدین. من در منونایت به عنوان مشاور سلامت روان کار میکنم و در این جلسه در خدمتون هستم. اگر که نیاز به ترجمه بود، سوالی بود به فارسی، من به انگلیسی برمیگردونم. در خدمتون هستم. ممنونم. Thank you, Isha.
Thank you, Bita. Ling Ling, would you like to introduce yourself in Mandarin?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ling Ling. I'm a settlement worker at the Mennonite New Life Center, and today I will work as an interpreter for this webinar. 我的名字叫玲玲，我是新生活服务中心的社工。我今天主要是为大家做普通话的翻译。如果大家有需要的话，可以问我问题。Thank you.
Thank you, Ling Ling. And Zara, would you like to introduce yourself in Arabic?
Hi, everyone. My name is Zahra. I'm an Arabic-speaking settlement worker at the Mennonite New Life Center, and I'm happy to be part of this webinar today. أنا اسمي زهراء وأنا موجودة اليوم لحتى ترجم باللغة العربية. إذا حدا عنده أي سؤال بيكتبه باللغة العربية بالشات أو بحب يقوله، أنا موجودة هون لحتى ترجم هذا السؤال من العربي للإنجليزي وأرجع ترجم لكم الجواب. شكرا.
Okay, thank you, Zara.
Thank you.
Now, starting with our panel discussion, I would like to first start with a question for the audience. What does women empowerment mean to you? If you can just put it on the chat so I can read it from there. Being able to achieve a meaningful life. Thank you, Martha. Not feeling held back. Tracy, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. This is exactly what women empowerment is, that you feel free, you feel you can do based on your own choices, you can take your decisions and you can live a life that is meaningful, purposeful, and without any barriers, right? So now I would like to ask I have another very good response, the ability to take charge of your own life, changes and opportunities. Absolutely wonderful. Now, I would like to ask this question to our esteemed panelists. What does women empowerment mean to you? Why is it critical, especially now in the pandemic?
Hi, everyone. I can start if that is okay with everyone. Yes?
Yeah, definitely.
Hi, everyone. I am so happy to be here. And that is a really good question and a really good answers, by the way. Empowerment for me is to have access to opportunities, service, and safe spaces where you can self-determinate, you can think about the kind of life that you want to have, and how do you want to be part of this community or this society. I feel as a woman, sometimes we hold like a social identity, and because of that, we face some challenges. Sometimes maybe we are told how we have to behave or what is expecting from us just because the way that we look or where we come from. So I feel that empowerment is to have a space and be able to define ourselves and access to services and rights like education, such as education, mental health support, and jobs according to skills and or needs. So in conclusion, I feel that empowerment is about self-determination. Thank you.
Absolutely. It is about a lot about self-determination. Natalia.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to be here, to be a panelist, and to have you here as well as participants. So regarding the question about empowerment, I believe we can approach the concept of empowerment from different perspectives. From the mental health perspective, women empowerment is having a strong sense of self. What does it mean? It means to be able to be creative, to be resilient, and to be able to develop a sense of agency or self-determination. I believe women have a huge potential to make significant changes and to improve their lives, the life of their families, and the well-being of their communities. But as we know, for any potential to bloom, we need a certain environment to let it happen. Now in the pandemic, with all the changes, more than ever, empowerment is key. Why? Because it's about supporting women to develop self-awareness, to be able to identify their strengths and their weaknesses, and to have more clarity about who they are, what they bring, and what they want to do in life. The pandemic has created a high level of uncertainty. And we as human beings, we have been programmed to react, to respond at the level of the autonomic nervous system with that flight, fight, or freeze responses. We can say that in many cases, the pandemic has triggered that response, the freeze response, where we feel numb. We feel that we cannot do anything. We feel that we are stuck. We cannot see opportunities. We cannot see the future. By fostering empowerment, we can get a better understanding of these natural responses and develop strategies to overcome them. In other words, empowerment is becoming aware of these internal barriers. But at the same time, we can reclaim those strengths and make decisions for our life. In a sense, it's just to look at at the opportunities we can have instead of looking at the limitations we have at the moment. That's how I see empowerment from the mental health perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, Natalia. Definitely, it's an investment in ourselves, right? For long-term investment in ourselves when we women also rise and get equal opportunities as men. What about Mila? What do you think?
Thank you, Isha, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. I guess I'll answer the question with a bit of an educational perspective. So to me, empowering women means educating women to build their self-confidence, self-efficacy, and also their decision-making powers. So why do I think that that is critical? I think that when we uplift women in these ways, we give them tools. So tools to pursue more employment opportunities, make important contributions to society, which then increases their likelihood to succeed. When we educate women, we make them more likely to participate in politics and in political activism, which is important to ensure that women's voices are heard and that women's issues are implemented in our government policies. And finally, also, when we educate women, we give them the tools to have better, make better decisions with regards to their health, and also give them access to resources to raise healthy families as well. So I think that education is a huge part of empowering women.
Absolutely, Mila. Education is the greatest equalizer, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Victoria, can we hear from you?
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you for being here and listening to us. I would like to answer this question with two very specific examples. I think about these two people as role models in women empowerment. And one of them comes where Mila comes from education perspective. She is Malala. You must have heard about her. She is an activist, and in her teens, she spoke out against the oppression of girls when Taliban prohibited the right to education of these girls. So she basically risked her own life to stand up for the right for education of women. And the other example, role model, is actually a man. He is Mohammed Yunus, and he is a Bangladeshi social entrepreneur. And he came up with the concept of microcredit system. And this is basically about giving small loans for women. So this way they would be able to buy some raw materials, use their skills, and build up their own businesses. And these women came from deepest poverty, and many times they were illiterate. So they had no chance to get loans from an ordinary bank, and he came up with a solution for this problem. And this example also shows that when a woman is empowered, she is able to take care not only for herself, but also for the whole family. And I think these days we still need women who can take care of their families. But we shouldn't forget that before we can take care of others, we must take care of ourselves. And investing to our self-care is a long-term investment into our family's future.
Amazing. Absolutely. So true, Victoria. Self-care before caring for others, right? As women. Now, I would like to move to the next part, which is background of the panelists in the context of COVID. So let me ask our first question to Mila. Mila, you have a background in immigration consulting and instruction design. In fact, you have even taught classes during COVID. How have women been impacted due to COVID?
So I think that a lot of women look to change their careers when COVID hit, especially women who were in industries that were directly impacted by COVID. So they look to change their careers. They looked for careers that offer more flexibility, maybe opportunities to work from home. And I also, what I heard from students who were deciding to take classes is that they had more time when COVID hit to actually commit time to learning new skills or to start a new program and finish it, right? So I had dozens of students who actually completely finished their programs online and virtually. I never met them in person, but they took advantage of that time to do that. One of the key skills that I noticed most women, especially, were looking to upgrade are their technological skills. And one of the great things about taking their programs online was that they actually were able to do this without directly focusing on that. So by taking, a course through Zoom or Microsoft Teams, you learn how to use these programs and you take these transferable skills to the workplace. Even learning Word or learning how to do a virtual presentation, right? These are all skills that they weren't necessarily looking to upgrade or didn't think that they would upgrade, but they actually got a lot of experience with those. So that's one of the things that I noticed for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, Mila. I have my next question for Lizette. Lizette, you walk program participants through our registration, intake, needs assessment. Over the past 6 months, you have spoken to over hundreds of women about their dreams and hopes, and also about their concerns and worries. So what are the 3 main employment-related hopes and concerns that participants have shared with you? And how has COVID changed that?
Okay, that is a big question. Thank you. So I want to start saying that it has been such a great experience to be able to talk to those women about like the dream, expectation, and hopes, because I feel that I have learned a lot and I can relate it to their stories sometimes as well. Like the main employment concern that I can think of now, I feel the first one is coming back to work after a long period of employment. So we have those women that who hasn't worked for a long time, and now they are thinking to go back to the job market, but they are concerned about if their skills and knowledge are updated to what the job market is asking or expecting now from them. That will be the first one. The second one is about getting a job in Canada with all your experience, job experience and education happen in another country. So like they are afraid that maybe employers cannot value or recognize everything that they have to offer because it's a lot, but they are afraid that maybe they cannot see it just because it happens outside of Canada. So that will be the second concern, because many of our clients, they are coming from another country. So they have this amazing acute experience and education, but not in Canada. And the last one is about time. So how to manage being like a full-time mother or like a full-time caregiver, of someone, and at the same time getting a job, like a full-time or part-time job that is can adjust to their life. So they are concerned, like I have here this, I want to go back to work, but I cannot work in the afternoon. I need to get a job at the same time that my kids are at school. So we have like the time, that will be the third one. And regarding to hopes, that is a really good question. I really like it. It's like we have those women who has like all that barriers and challenging, but they are still thinking about careers and goals. They are talking about their strengths and skills, and they are planning how to achieve that goals. So like we have those women who are talking about, I want to get a job, I want to have my own business, I want to update my skills, and I want to create connections. I want to create connections in this country, just to mention a few. So just to like finish my answer, it's like we have barriers, but we have hopes, and like we can achieve that goals. So yeah, that will be my last answer. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We can certainly achieve what we set our minds to, right? And we can achieve our goals. Natalia, you have been a settlement worker family counselor, and now you are a mental health coordinator for the She-Covery Program. What are some mental health challenges that women are facing in COVID?
Thank you for your question, Isha. I would like to start by saying that we are all aware that the social and economic impact of COVID-19 has been significant, right? And has long-lasting effects on all of us. Now, when it comes to the impact of this pandemic on the mental health, there is evidence that demonstrates that the lockdown measures contribute to everyone's mental health deterioration. Why? Because isolation and the constraints to our social and cultural life are detrimental to our mental health. Now, women has been disproportionately affected by all the shortcomings of this pandemic. For instance, women feel more pressure to look after their children, to support their children's online education, while having to work, sometimes having to work at home or having to work outside their homes and having to deal with many responsibilities at the same time. Also, they have the responsibility to mitigate the impact of these social constraints on their family members. But moreover, we have seen that immigrants and racialized women, and especially newcomers women, have been feeling incredibly burdened by having to cope with additional stressors. What stressors we're talking about? Imagine being a newcomer and having to navigate the social system during COVID. The precarious employment, the loss of employment, job and food insecurity, precarious immigration status, pregnancy, so many situations that women have to deal at the same time. And the uncertainty about the future, sometimes the family violence increased because of COVID. So this program is here to help women, to support them emotionally. Women experience higher rates of anxiety, depression, and worrisome compared to men. That's why they need that support, that emotional support, to build those tools that they need, to regain that sense of confidence, to think about the future in positive terms.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Finally, we have a question for Victoria. Victoria, you have rich experience in human resources. How has COVID impacted women's work performance, and what are some concerns employers are having in these times?
Thank you for the question, Isha. I can completely underline what Natalia just mentioned about how women have been impacted by COVID. And I can just say that they have been struggling quite a bit since the start of the pandemic. And this has been also caused by the uncertainty we have been facing for the past almost 2 years. This uncertainty is all over our lives in every area, like employment, the study of our children, the health of our family members, especially the older ones we are taking care of. Our free time is basically shut down, and traveling became a huge issue. And as a consequence, many families haven't seen the other family members for a very long time. And obviously, the work performance has been suffered because everyone suffered. So work performance is not an exception of this. However, we learned to adapt. And those who still had jobs, they were focusing on keeping those jobs and being more productive in the times when they were able to perform their jobs, and also more creative about it. And you asked me about the concerns of the employers. Well, at the beginning, employers have been concerned of this working from home concept is really going to work out. But right now we have living it, that it is working, it is performing. And at the beginning, they also have been worried about the health of their frontline workers. But also with the introduction of the vaccines, it has been improving. However, it's still a serious issue, the unpredictability of the coming months, because employers don't know how much business volume they must predict. They don't know how many workforce they will need, and most of the businesses just kept as many employees as needed, and they are trying to cover the peaks with them. And finding skilled employees quickly these days became also a big headache of many employers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, completely, can completely relate to that. So now we have a poll question as we are moving into the next section of our webinar. How can we empower women? Can I get some responses from our audience? What do you think is the way to empower women? What are the secret methods we could use to empower women? Education, yes. What else? Employment opportunities, absolutely. I think the diversity initiatives which many companies are taking is also really good, where they try to increase the diversity and inclusion percentage in the company by having more women and other minorities. Social connections, childcare, flexible work arrangements, tools to manage mental health, absolutely. These are all great answers. Benefits, motivation, and spotting light on their abilities and skills, absolutely. Absolutely. Networking, perfect. No, these are all amazing answers. Let's now turn over to our panelists and see what they have to say. So, Natalia, what is the connection between mental health and women empowerment? How can this enable women's leadership? And how can women benefit from counseling and workshops, especially in COVID times?
Thank you, Isha, for the question. So we know that well-being is a key component in developing empowerment, certainly. Why? Because to make decisions that mirror our interests and desire, we need to develop a strong sense of self that I was talking in previous question. What does it mean to have a strong sense of self? It means that we can recognize our values, our assets, our ideals. We can set goals, but we are able to recognize the areas that we need to improve, meaning our weaknesses. We can look at the whole picture. So in that way, we have a holistic approach about our life, and we can move forward having all these together. So we as women, we have learned that we may be incapable of accomplishing many things because of our nature. These ones are internalized messages that create those internal barriers. And these internal barriers compromise our self-perception, compromise our leadership skills, and compromise our level of satisfaction. So that's why individual counseling and group sessions provide women with new perspectives, a new direction, and strategies to address these challenges and to see these challenges as an opportunity to grow. We have seen women that they can only look at the limitations that they have, and especially during COVID, that they encounter more limitations, and they cannot see beyond their present situations. And that's why it's very important to help them to look at the whole picture, because they bring a lot of assets. They have potential, but they need that support to be able to feel confident. They can do it. They can start working on their personal project, on their plans. So we offer 3 workshops. We have created interactive workshops in which clients have a safe space to reflect upon the impact of mental health and well-being on the employment search process and vice versa. So far we have created and launched 3 workshops. One of the workshops is called Become a Self-Starter, where we can reflect about the concept of procrastination. What is procrastination? Have you heard about that word? Does it resonate with you, the word procrastination? When we feel that heaviness on our shoulder, then tell us we need to do something, we have to do something. However, we keep on postponing that. We never do it. We don't set a time. Well, this workshop help you to address these behaviors and provide you tips to manage these challenges so you can become more proactive. We can become more proactive with our life to identify what is good for us, what we want to do, and how to do it. That's why it's like become a self-starter. We offer another workshop that is called Mission, Passion, and Career, where we work interactively to identify our values, our strengths, and skills to make meaningful changes, meaningful decisions for our life. In terms of career choices, it can be related to employment, it can be related to education, it can be related to start something new, it can be anything that give you satisfaction, that bring meaning to your life. So, and I mentioned that we have created 3 workshops. The third workshop is called Overcoming Job Search and Performance Anxiety. And what we aim is to support women to build strategies to overcome barriers to achieving goals. And that is especially when it comes to reaching workplace opportunities and meaningful employment. By improving that confidence and managing the fears, for example, of public speaking, the fears that we may experience when it comes to having a job interview, when it comes to do a presentation, when it comes to talk about ourselves, to introduce ourselves. All these workshops were created to support women to developing empowerment, because that's our main objective, to support women to develop empowerment and leadership skills. That is the core of the program. Thank you, Isha.
No, absolutely agree. And I'm sure these workshops will truly help women breaking free from their own internal barriers and absolutely just become free.
Definitely is an opportunity for them to reflect upon all these situations, to connect with themselves. When I was talking about the natural responses that we sometimes have when we are under stress, that fly, fight, or freeze response, just to validate, help them to understand that it's natural, that happened to all of us. But not just to stay there, we need to move on. And that's why we provide tips too. The most important thing is that they can relate, they can feel familiar with that situation and say, I'm not different to others. I'm not different to you. It's a way of normalizing the situation.
It happens to the best of us, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Awesome.
Sorry, Isha and Natalia, I just want to say that we have offered that workshops in another languages as well as all the services that we provide. So like if we have like someone like is watching, like seeing us right now, that person can, and it's like that person doesn't speak English, but they speak Spanish or speak like Farsi or Arabic, is more than welcome to participate because we have services on that languages as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of the workshop, if I have one more minute. So we are providing these workshops once a month. Like Lisette was saying, the workshops are basically in English, but we offer also a workshop in Arabic. So for those clients who feel more comfortable participating in this workshop, and when it's offered in their own language, we do it as well. But we encourage clients to participate in these workshops in the English version, because it's also a way to practice their level of English, their language skills. Like Lisette was saying, one of the main barriers to accomplishing their personal goals in Canada, especially for newcomers, are the language barriers. So these workshops also offer this opportunity to practice their English in a safe space. Thank you.
Absolutely. So it's like you can learn about it and also practice your English. So that's definitely great. Now moving on to Mila. Mila, you have been a successful educator. How does education empower women? And in your experience as an educator, how have lives changed once they acquire the education?
I think that's a really great question. I think that any time that we learn a new skill as humans, we feel a sense of empowerment. So for women especially, learning a new skill could mean overcoming a barrier, right? Just like Natalia and Lizeth mentioned, maybe learning English, that could be overcoming a barrier that stands between them and their vision of success. So as an educator, one of the approaches that I used to empower students was through reflection. So I would ask students, think about things that you didn't know when you started this program, and now you know like the back of your hand, right? That could be different terminology, that could be different processes. And I find that when students do this and they reflect on their progress, they feel very proud of themselves. And they feel confident, right? Reflecting upon our improvements regularly, I think, is really, really important in building our own self-confidence. And that's why I'm such an advocate for lifelong learning. I don't think that we should ever really stop improving ourselves, improving our knowledge or our skills, because it builds that confidence.
Absolutely, absolutely. They say that learning should start when you are born and end only when you die, right? That was one of our freedom fighters of India, Gandhiji, had said that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, absolutely. Victoria, so how can employers empower women, and how can they benefit from women employment?
Thanks for the question, Isha. So basically, there are many ways employers can empower women. One of them is focusing on their strengths, providing opportunities to grow, and helping them to improve their skills. However, salary raise can be also quite empowering for women, but many times women have to ask for it. It just doesn't come offered. And as I mentioned before already, that when women feel empowered, they are performing better in all areas of their life. So definitely employers would be one of them who benefit from this. And just to mention a very specific example, my previous employer in Europe introduced a ratio of women in leadership positions, and this happened 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, there was also a big focus on empowering women and supporting them. And ever since, the same company became a huge supporter of women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And these days, I can obviously see all kinds of women initiatives at the workplaces across Canada, which is great because more women are in decision-making positions, and the more diverse the workforce is at the company, the more productive and the more successful business gets. It is already scientifically proven.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. They say when teams are diverse, people can complement each other's strengths with their strengths, and the team intelligence increases a lot when people are different.
Exactly.
Yeah, really, really amazing answers, panelists. Now we are going to the last part of our webinar, which is on the She-Covery response. As you may be aware, MNLCT is responding to the current challenges with the She-Covery Response Program, Building Skills for Work. So I just saw that we're having Cynthia with us, Cynthia Edeleneg. And she's one of our program participants who has volunteered to talk about the program and how it has helped her. So Cynthia, can you unmute and talk about your experience?
Hello, yes. Thank you so much for giving me the chance to share my experience, and I'm really appreciated. Yes, I will share a little bit of my experience that I have with you guys. That it was great because when I started talking with many of you, it helped me because you guys guide me, and you helped me to start from zero and then put myself together and follow that achievement that I wanted. This program is like you said, is for all women, and from my experience now I'm studying. I found out what I wanted to study. I'm studying right now, and little by little I am going to achieve what I wanted. So She-Covery is the program where you can find yourself and you feel confident and you feel free to do what you really want to do in this country, regardless your background, regardless what you were doing in your country. There's always a chance to do something else here, something new, and yeah, that's my experience with this program. I'm so glad you guys have this for women, and of course give us the opportunity to grow as a person and as a woman.
This is amazing, Cynthia, and we would like to congratulate you for taking on the step of being proactive and attending MNLCT's workshops and services and really using it to benefit you. So kudos to you, and we wish you all the very best for your future endeavors.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You are doing a beautiful job, and you are a big support. Like, you don't imagine how thankful I am.
Oh, amazing. So
Thank
good
you
to
so
know.
much, Cynthia, for your kind
For your
words.
kind words.
And
Thank
for
you so
being
much.
here, today, for for being able to speak in front of an audience. That is empowering, and I'm really happy for you.
Oh, thank you, Natalia. Thank you, Lizette. And thank you, everybody, for the big support. You don't have idea how much you guys help us.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
So basically, everyone who wants to participate in the program can send me an email to She-Covery@mnlct.org, or give me a call at 647-776-2057 extension 3341. I will be more than happy to answer any question that you might have, even if you are not completely sure about signing up in this program, but you have question or you want to have one-on-one conversation about the program, just give me a call or send me a message. And my message for those women who need support, it will be like, don't be afraid of asking for information or for support. I know that sometimes it could be difficult to do it, and more when you are new in a country or maybe when you don't speak the language. But as I mentioned before, we speak different languages in this organization. So never feel afraid to ask for support or for information. We have different programs that might fit your needs. And most importantly, we are here to support you through this process of building a life in Canada. So thank you.
So we are having an info session for the She-Covery Response Building Skills for Work program. It's on October 20th, 2021, 4 p.m. So please save your date, save the date for this event. We will be going in depth in the She-Covery program, and we will be, we'll be going over all the components and also be discussing and answering all your questions. So I would love to thank our esteemed panelists and our audience for being here today. If you have any questions, you know where to find us. To make an appointment, please contact 647-776-2057 at info@mnlct.org. Thank you very much. And have a wonderful rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And maybe I have some time for my last words, well-being. And as I mentioned before, when women in the family, we are strong, we feel that we can lead our lives, we can support everyone. We have to acknowledge and we have to recognize that we have a lot to offer to the society, to the community. We have a lot to say. And maybe we can start by working on our own personal desires, what we want to do, and we can move from there. So give yourself that opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank
Come
you,
to us.
everyone. Yeah.